Welcome back to the Naked Proverbs podcast, where we unclothe the truth about Black love, family, and marriage. My name is Nik Scott, one of your hosts, and I'm here with my husband.
What's going on? It's your boy Rich, and today we are going to talk about ruts in marriage.
Right at the beginning of every episode, we always remind our listeners that we are not trained, licensed, professional therapists or counselors. We've been married a long time, and we use Naked Proverbs as our space to share our stories, our experience, our advice, and, as always, our opinions. If you haven't already, make sure you're following the Naked Proverbs on whatever podcasting platform you are listening on. And if you like what you hear, show us your love and support by giving us a 5-star rating on iTunes or whatever platform you are listening to right now.
As we do every episode, we'd like to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you again next week. Maybe you've been married a short time, or maybe you've been married for multiple decades. Either way, at some point, you have either fallen into a rut or you will fall into a rut in your marriage.
I don't know. When we started to talk about what our topic was going to be, and you were like, well, we should talk about ruts in marriage. And I said, well, I don't know nothing about that. But then when you think about it, like, have there been times in our marriage over almost 19 years we've been married, have there been times where I have felt less connected to you? And I would have to say yes.
And I think that's what it is. Like, how do you identify a rut in a marriage, right? I think it's when everything just becomes routine. When it gets to the point where you don't even have to ask, how was your day? Because you already know exactly what your spouse is going to say. You don't really go on dates anymore because you've got so many things going on. You don't court your spouse anymore. You're not flirting with them. You're just going through the motions. Mm-hmm. And I think those are some signs that you might see when your marriage is in a rut.
Rut is such a harsh word. I like to think about it a little differently. Like I said, in terms of feeling connected to your spouse, or people say the spark, I say the flame. I'm all about the fire, right? Is the fire still going in your marriage? Do you still get butterflies when you look at your husband? When he touches you, do you still kind of get all tingly? And like, if those things aren't happening, then maybe you aren't as connected. And a lot of times people think that you get in a rut, or the connection is cut off, or the flame goes out because of a big argument or a disagreement, and that's not always the case.
Or, people think it's something huge, right? There was infidelity, or, you weren't telling the truth, or there's some big issue. But I think that it's easy to fall in. I like the word rut personally, because I think that when I think of a rut, I think of me driving my truck. Mm-hmm. And so last year when I went hunting, I don't know if I told you this story. We got stuck in a rut. And my truck, it's an off-road version, and it can do a lot. So we kind of pushed it to its limits to see. So we decided to go up a mountainside that was covered in snow, and you couldn't see what was up under the snow. No vehicles had driven down this road. Snow was up to the lights, right? And as we're going, I'm like, guys, I don't think this is a good idea. But because I had two of my boys with me, of course they hyped me up, and we kept going. Next thing I know, we could not go forward anymore. It wasn't because the snow was so deep, but we had fallen into a rut. And to me, that's exactly what happens in marriages, right? You're just driving down the road. Everything seems, normal. If you want to call driving, in 4 or 5 feet of snow normal. But it's normal, right? And then all of a sudden, your marriage is like at a standstill, or it's not really going forward, but it's not going backwards. And to me, that's why I call it a rut, because ruts can become very dangerous if you don't get out of them. In our situation, we had to put chains on the tires. I mean, we had to do some pushing, we had to do some forward movement, some backwards movement, 17,000 point turn to get out of the situation we found ourselves in. So, you may not like the word rut, but to me, I understand that a rut can become very dangerous if you don't address it and don't even realize you're in a rut.
One thing that I really like about this story, not the fact that you disagree with me, but you said that you